Good afternoon and welcome to today's webinar. This is Getting Your Church Website Ready for Easter with Church360 Unite. My name is Peter Frank and I'll be leading our presentation today. I am the Senior Manager for Concordia Technology Solutions. I've been with our group for going on 6 years. It'll be 6 years this summer. I've been with our organization for over 10 years now, but with this team specifically since 2012. And one of the first projects I worked on with CTS was getting ready for the launch of Church360 Unite. So I've been with this product since the very beginning, before the beginning, and it's a product that's near and dear to my heart. I've been developing church websites since I was, I think, 12. Many years ago, back in the early days of web design, and to see where we've come is both exciting and energizing because it changes faster now than ever before. And so making sure having a good website, making sure your church has a good website is so important for sharing the gospel. So that's what I'm excited about. That's why I'm here today to share with you. You can see my contact information is on the screen there. Email is the best way to get a hold of me, although my phone number goes to my office here, so you're welcome to reach out with that number as well. Okay, few housekeeping items before we get started. First off, I'm planning today for about 50 minutes for presentation. Now, I have a tendency to go past those 50 minutes because there's more than enough I can share. So if I don't see questions, the 10 minutes at the end is for question and answers. I do ask that you ask questions throughout because if I don't see any questions sitting in my queue, I'll go ahead and answer. I'll keep going with the presentation and answer those questions at the very end. So please feel free to ask questions as you think about it. If I happen to look over and see what the question is, I might answer in the middle of the presentation, but otherwise we'll save time at the end for that. So we will wrap up promptly at 2 o'clock Central Time. That's my plan. We are recording this webinar, so I'll share it after the fact. If you missed something, or if you had to step away, or if you just want to review it, even share it with somebody else on your team, you're welcome to do that. So I'll be sharing you a link that'll be a public link. You can pass it on to anyone else that you'd like to have see this information too. A little bit about our organization. I mentioned I'm the Senior Manager of Concordia Technology Solutions. We are the Church Administration Division of Concordia Publishing House. We've been producing software for churches since 1984, which is a very long time ago in the world of software. Back then you only had those green screens and MS-DOS and all that fun stuff. So we've come a long ways, and Church360 Unite is one of our latest and greatest products. It's not brand new, but it's fairly new in the broad scope of things. So to give you a little bit of background on Church360 Unite, it is part of the Church360 suite of products. There are 3 different software items here. There's Church360 Unite, Church360 Members, which allows you to manage your membership information, your attendance, your offerings. And then Church360 Ledger, which is all of the chart of accounts, the financial information of the church, the money coming in and the money going out. And usually there's both in a lot of transactions in both directions. So it's important to keep tabs on all of that. Church360 Unite, however, is our church website builder. Now, I always hesitate to say church website builder because that kind of puts it into a box. We talk about it uniting your church communications, your online communications. So certainly the church website is a key portion of that, but it's only one of many things. In addition to the website, it would be your church blog, your member hub where people can log in and interact and see information specifically meant for them. It can be your file sharing, your calendar. Imagine having your master church calendar all in one place. It's the dream that many people have thought of for church communications. That's what Unite can be, as well as your mass email tool. It leverages an internal email tool called Email Relay Systems. We'll talk about that in a little while. So we call it Unite because it takes all of these different things and puts it into one place in a very easy to use fashion. Now, I know many of you who are attending have already purchased Unite, so please know that this will not be a complete sales pitch. I just know there's plenty of people who are new to Unite as well. So this is about the most that I'll get into from the sales side, if you will, of going into details on Unite. There will be a little bit at the end that I'll talk about. For the most part, we're just going to be digging into the product and talking about communications at Easter. So I'm making a few assumptions about you who are here today. First off, I'm assuming you're familiar with church websites. If you are not familiar at all, this is not a basic 101 course. You're probably going to want to learn a little bit before you can start leveraging this. But I am assuming you're new to Church360 Unite. Even if you are already have it set up for your church, a lot of what we'll talk about will be things you may have done if you've had experience with Unite. So we'll talk about it from a new level. There will definitely be plenty of things you can pick up along the way. I'm also assuming that you're extremely busy, and so I don't want to take up more of your time than I need to, but I feel like this is really valuable for getting the word out about your Easter services, about what's coming up with the resurrection of Christ, and it's that important to share. So that's why I'm here today, and I'm hoping that that's why you're here too. The outline for today, we're going to do a quick overview of Church360 Unite for those of you who are brand new, give you a little bit of familiarity. Then we're going to dig into the key communication tactics. And as we do that, you'll see all the different aspects of Unite. Finally, at the end, we'll take some time for question and answers, like I mentioned before. Again, I'm hoping for 10 minutes. It may be a little less than that, depending on how many questions are in the queue, and I'll keep looking up at that occasionally as we go. So let's talk about the key communication tactics that we'll be covering today. First, we're going to create a landing page, and landing makes it sound a little bit intriguing. It's really a website page where you will direct people to go for Easter information, not on Easter Sunday. You want them coming into your church, not going just to your website. So we'll create a landing page with all the relevant information. We'll then create a resource hub. And today I'm going to use the example of the youth group Easter breakfast. With groups in Unite, we'll talk about that in more detail, but groups can be used for a variety of different things. For Easter as a concept, that's probably a bit too broad for a group. So we're going to narrow our focus onto a segment of what's going on at Easter Sunday. I'll show you how to invite users to join and log in on your website. We'll set up events. We'll engage site visitors by updating the homepage. I'll show you how you can look at the member directory, all that fun stuff. We'll create a blog and put a blog post on there. I'll show the different ways that you can use the blog, and we'll talk to some concepts about content. And finally, I'll show you how to use the email tool so that you could either email the entire congregation, you could email a subset of that, maybe it's your group. We'll go through that as well. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Jump over here. So this is my sample site that we're using, Resurrection Lutheran Church. I picked this sample site because of resurrection. We're talking about Easter, and what better site to talk about? This is a fictional congregation. We've set this up just to display how you might set your website up if you're using Unite. So I have logged in as an administrator, which means I have this black toolbar across the top, our administrator toolbar. We'll first take a brief look at settings. When you click on this, it takes up the whole screen, and then you can still navigate within these different admin bars. If you want to click out of that, there's a little X up at the top, right by the little tab there. So under the settings view, you can go through and set up the information about your church that'll display in your footer. Set it up in one place, that way if your phone number changes, you don't have to go to every page to change it. This is also where you manage your calendars, and we'll talk about that in a little while. This is where you set up your church domain. So by default, it's your subdomain or mychurch.360unite.com, whatever church name you want to put in there. But you can also set it up to be www.mychurch.com. We can help you with that during the setup process. This also gives you the instructions to do it on your own if you want to host your name or your domain somewhere else. Google Analytics, we don't build reporting into the software for most things. There's a few things we'll touch on later on, but Google Analytics is a free tool from Google that provides far more information that a church would ever need. And so rather than compete with that, we decided to just make it really easy for you to use Google Analytics. And again, it's completely free. You can sign up today and start tracking your website. Lastly, integration. One of the things we'll talk about is the connection point between Church360 Unite and Church360 members. How you can use your church management software to further increase the value of your website. Now, if you're using our other product, Shepherd Staff, which we have thousands of churches using, you can also sync that with Unite. And so because Shepherd Staff is PC-based, it requires a push and a pull action as opposed to a continuous sync, because you don't have to be on the internet to use Shepherd Staff. And so this token and subdomain information shows you how you can connect with Shepherd Staff and update from there. So that's the settings. Like I said, very brief. We're going to talk about themes first. This is part of the initial overview. So there are 12 different themes that are available to use, and they each have their own kind of unique identity. So the theme that we're using today, we're calling Material. Now, when you click on a theme, you can see all of the different presets, which are collections of modifications to that theme. So generally the modifications are colors. Sometimes there's some structural changes, and we'll look at that as in a minute as we customize, but I wanted to highlight a few things here. First off, when you click on Material, or like a theme like Material, you can see all the presets. When you click and hold on a preset, you can then see what that looks like a little bit closer. And so as you are considering updating your website, maybe you want a fresh look, it may be as simple as just going into themes and choosing a new theme and a new preset, seeing what that looks like, and updating it. It's as simple as just going down and clicking Apply Theme. I like that one too. The colors are really cool. So as soon as you click Apply Theme, it would go and update your site. I'm not going to do that now because I already have customized this with the different colors. And that's one thing to be careful of, is that the more you customize, the harder it is to switch back and forth. So we recommend that you do that at the beginning. But from a customized standpoint, what that means is that you have the ability in this theme, for example, to change the header color, the navigation color, the sidebar colors, sidebar border and sidebar color. You can also upload a banner or a logo like we've got here with Resurrection Lutheran Church. You can select an accent color, and you can pick your primary heading font. So a number of different options there. Now, if you know a little bit more code, and you can see here I added some things for a few pages, you can go directly and plug in CSS or JavaScript or HTML in here. Basic stuff that'll go at the header or the footer of your code base. Now, if you're not familiar with that, don't worry, you don't need to be. You don't have to use this. Sometimes if you call into our support team and you ask them, I'd really like this to be this color and I don't know how to do it, they might update it in here rather than mess with your main code. Now, if you know what you're doing and you know how to update code, you can go to Edit, and then you'll see here all of the different code files. Now, I've already cloned this theme so that I could show this. Cloning a theme means you make a copy of it. You can't actually edit the default themes. So you clone it, you make a copy of it, and you can edit it there. And then if it doesn't look right by the time it's done, you can always go back. And so we give you all of the source files. So it just gives you that flexibility. So maybe you don't have somebody at on your staff or in your church right now who knows how to update websites to this level of detail. But if you ever do, you have that flexibility to give them access to this. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, under Customize, you saw you could pick a heading font. Now, that's basic with the theme, but you can also set styles for your different themes. And so you'll see here that the styles are block or inline. They're for all your content within the site. So the words that you put on there, you can style in a variety of different ways. This is beneficial not just from a visual side of things, but also because of search engine optimization. So depending on what you've put in each one of these, like heading 1, heading 2, all of that tells a search engine a little bit more about what's on the page, what's important on the page. And so it's important to use your styles accordingly so that the search engines know what's on that page and provide the right results to their searchers. So think of it in those two different ways, one for benefiting search and the other for benefiting style and appearance. So we'll take a look at that in a little while as we go to modify parts of our copy. All right, so there is the quick overview of some of the core functionality that we're not going to be talking about anymore today. What we're really going to get into is this concept of communication for Easter. So you can see right now on our site, we've got a nice navigation where you can hover over and some of them will drop down. If you go to worship times, that takes you right to this page. This example has some helper text. Ministry, sermon, visitors, what to expect, all of that. So that's fun, but none of those say Easter. That's what we're going to create right now. So if we go up to pages and we go, you'll see here there's two columns. On the left-hand side, you have active menu items, and on the right-hand side, you have available menu items. The menu items are what's in this drop-down right here. And you can see some of them have just the title, like worship times, and some of them have the pages that drop below that. It shows up as a tree, kind of flipping at 90 degrees here. About Us has pages underneath it. That's a category. Worship times is a page, so it goes directly to it. Categories cannot be clicked. They're just like folders. They just reveal the pages within them. They don't serve any other value than being a container. On the far right, you have pages that could go into that. Now, that doesn't mean these pages are not on your website. It just means they're not part of your navigation. What determines whether or not they're on your website is by clicking on them and saying, are they published or draft status? So if I want to change our mission and vision to draft, plug that in there, and that page will no longer be publicly available. It'll be available for the administrators to see, but it's draft. It hasn't been published yet. But then I just hit publish, and now that's available for everybody. The same could be on the right-hand side. So the pages the left or right-hand side don't determine what is active. It's the published status. Now, another thing, and we'll talk about this in a little while as we go, is that there's privacy settings in here. So you can see over here, and pardon me, my microphone is getting in the way, public versus private. If I want, let's say our directory, our contact us. Directory is a little bit different. We're going to remove that actually. Contact us to be private. We could click on that, and that means that only people who have logged into the site, members of the site, can see that page. This is especially valuable for sensitive information. So like schedules of acolytes is one I always give an example. You don't want to be putting all of that information online. That's kids' names. That's not something that should be revealed on your church website, especially not if there's contact information with that, as many schedules often have. So put that as a members only site. Only people that you invite to your site can be let in. Now I'll go ahead and make that public again. I'm going to go and add a page right over here. When I click add page, it gives me an example of a few different pages that I can to add to my site. The first one's a blank page, just a plain old page is what it says there. The next one's a feed page, and then finally a group page. Those are your three types of pages that you can add to your website. Now below that, there's a lot of regular pages that have helper text and questions that kind of lead you along in determining what should be on your website. So that's all available right now. We're just going to do a blank page and hit create page, and then I enter the name. And so I'm going to type in Easter 2018 and click enter. So now my website has an Easter 2018 page that's in draft status. So if I want to move that under news, and we'll go ahead and save changes, and then I'll click Easter 2018, continue, go back. I click continue because I'd already saved the changes. Now I have my Easter 2018 page right here. It's in draft status, and I can go and click edit. Now, if you look here under news, you can see that Easter 2018 is available. That's because I moved into the menu. If I go ahead and sign out and I go to news, Easter 2018 is not in there. That's because it's a draft status. And there we go. It's in draft status, so people logged out can't see it until I'm ready for them to see it. But at least for me, it's a work in progress, so I can always go to where I expect it to be. So there's Easter 2018, and I'll click Edit Page. All right, so now that this is what we call edit mode. There's a number of things going on here. On the far left-hand side, there's the layouts, and that determines where your content sections are. Now, right now I have one square, and over here on the far right, if I hover over it, I've got one blue square. That tells me I've got one place to fill up with content. If I go to the far lower right corner, that's 4, a long one across the top and 3 down below. So I've got those sections here, and each one of those are containers for content. So that's what that is. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put this one, get a wider center, and have something up at the top. So that's what those site layouts or page layouts are for. Below that, we have the settings, the draft or published. I'm going to go ahead and publish this right now so that it's available to see. The URL right now says Easter 2018. Maybe I just want it to say Easter. So we could do mychurch.com/Easter and make it really easy. But my page title and everything else, the page title is what shows up in the top left. What Google pulls in shows up. Now, it says Easter 2018. In the browser, it says Easter 2018 Resurrection Lutheran Church. That's because as part of my theme, I always put the church name as part of the title. That's a best practice in web design that we do automatically for you. So just something to keep in mind. I wouldn't go ahead and put Resurrection Lutheran Church's Easter 2018 because it'll then say Resurrection Lutheran Church again and become very long. Underneath that is meta description. Now, meta description is valuable for telling the searcher in search engines what's on your page. If you don't put anything there, it'll just pull content from your page. But if you put something there, it'll tell you exactly what it's supposed to be. So, or tell the searcher exactly what it's supposed to be. So I recommend filling out something there. Just know that what you put in here doesn't affect the search results at all. This is a kind of an old thing. It hasn't been true for years, but I still hear that floating around in some different search engine circles. Let's say, oh yeah, you want to make sure to put lots of keywords in your meta description so that it'll show up on searches. That doesn't actually work. Google has said that they do not look at meta description to determine page rank. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a little bit there just to fill that in, and we'll click save. All right, so that stuff has been locked in. My site is now published. If you go to material.360unite.com/Easter, it'll work for you as well. All right, let's keep going. So I'm going to erase the title and I'm going to upload a new image. Banner images are great, adding some color to the page. I've got a mock-up that I'm going to do here. So I clear that out and I click in here, the image. Before I go too far, I didn't explain what this is. When you click in a cell, you get a toolbar that allows you to edit the information within that. This allows you to update your site, add information to it, style it in a very easy to use format. Everything is familiar from a Microsoft Office sort of standpoint, or even if you're using Apple products. You know, this toolbar, a WYSIWYG toolbar, what you see is what you get is pretty straightforward. So I'm going to click image here. And we'll click upload. And I'm going to go to my desktop. And there's my Unite webinar, and I'm going to click this Easter header image. It's going to upload it to my site, and I can select it. Now it's going to start off as a little skewed. You can see it's stretched out, and that's because my image is a bit larger than maybe it should be. So something to keep in mind is you always want to resize appropriately. But with mobile devices now, resizing is hard. So what I recommend doing is clicking on it and clicking advanced, and then put in the width at 100%. And the height, just clear that out. Oops. That means that it'll be the auto height. As long as the width is 100%, the aspect ratio will be the same. And we'll click OK. So there we go. That looks a little bit better. Actually, that's not even the image that I wanted. That's supposed to go on my homepage. So let me back up a second. You can tell it's right after lunch and I haven't finished all my afternoon coffee yet. I want to go here to Easter Sunday worship opportunities. We're going to put that one on the main page. You got a little sneak peek. Oops, I think, I didn't crop it right. This is what happens when I prep for it late at night. All right, well, we'll go back here. I apologize for that. I pulled the wrong image. So we'll go here. We'll make sure that it's 100%. All right, well, sorry about that. That's not too bad. It's just the wrong image. So I must have pulled the wrong one. I may still have it somewhere else, but I'm not going to search for it right now. So sorry about that. But that's how you know this is live. If this was recorded, I would have edited that part out. All right, we're going to go and add some content here. So I have on the other side of the screen a bunch of copy already written. Now I can paste it in just like this, and it'll take it and format it accordingly. So in fact, let me show you what it looks like compared. So here's my Word document. I copied and pasted it, and here is my Unite file. Good, you can see that. So that shows the differences in that. This is what we call our landing page, and this is the page that we want to give people every bit of information about our Easter Sunday services. Now, imagine that header didn't say join us for worship. We're going to use that on the home page to point to this page. You're going to want to put all of the relevant information about your Easter Sunday services here. And one of the things that I would include would be your date. Because not everybody remembers when Easter Sunday is. If you're not in the church, it may not be quite as important, but if you're working in the church office, you've had this date on your calendar since last Easter. So Easter Sunday 2018, April 1st, 2018, I'm going to change that to heading 2. Now you'll notice they changed at the same time. That was because, and I did this kind of fast, I actually went in here and did a line break, shift enter rather than enter, which is a paragraph break. And our formatting is based on paragraphs. So if I go to heading 2, I get it like that. Now, to me, that looks like a lot of white space. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this. But when I go back in here, I'm going to go here and click Formats. And this takes me to my different styles. So if I go to H1, it tells me what the margin is before and after that. So there's a lot of margin before, not a lot of margin after that. So that's telling me that I probably want to go to header 2. And we'll click on margin, and there we have it. See that 1 M. M is a unit of measurement that's more of a percentage compared to something else. So 1 M is the base, and then 0.25 is a quarter of the base. 2 M is twice the base, and all of that. So I'm going to switch this and say, actually, I don't want the space to be as big. I'm going to do 0.25 M. I'm going to save that right there. Now, when I go and close out of this, you see that space has been reduced. And so that looks a little bit nicer. All right, so I've got a copy in here. We invite you to join us in worship and celebration of the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ, and some more on there. So next, I have Holy Week worship schedule. Now, if I want to drop this down to like a heading 3, make it smaller, I can do that too. But maybe I want to do something different with this. So I'll select that. Actually, I don't think I need to select it. The link just takes me back to the styles. And I'm going to do what's called inline styling. So normal is right there. If I click add style, it'll be inline. I can go ahead and change it to, let's go to a different blue. There we go. And I could change it to underline, and we can do, let's do 0.95, make it a little bit smaller there. Font size, there, font style is bold, and in here we'll leave the same style. Oh, I need to name it. So let's see, we'll just call this bold and underline. Excuse me. Pardon me 1 second. Tried to mute it. Looks like I'm back on. Sorry about that. Didn't want you here to me having my coffee there, but although you could see it on the camera, certainly. All right, so bold and underline is our style. I'm going to close out of here, go back in this way. This probably isn't the best style to do because underline kind of makes you look like a link. But if I go in here and click styles and go to bold and underline, that will take it and apply that and combine it with whatever style we had. So I had H2 there first. So if I did just a normal one, whoops. Why is that? Oh, we've already got it as H2. We'll switch this out and we'll go just to bold and underline to show what that looks like. So that makes it very much look like a link. So probably not our best bet to do that. We'll change it to normal and then back to 2. But actually we'll go to header 3. But I just wanted to show you how you'd create a new style and then you could apply it here. We'll actually use that in a minute for something else. So there's my worship services. You can see my superscript looks a little silly there, coming in from Word. So January 29th, I'm going to go ahead and move that. That's just the font choice that I have. And I can always do other editing to put in here. We're going to come back and come to this page when we're ready to link to events. The next thing that we're going to do, and yeah, we'll go there in just a second. There we go. Move that. We're going to create a page for the Easter breakfast. So you can see here, we've got Easter breakfast. I'm going to go ahead and put that as a header 3 too, so that we can call that out. And what I want to do is say learn more. And I want to link that somewhere, but I have nowhere to link it to yet. This is where we'll use that bold and underline because that makes sense for a link. So the next step that we're going to do, I'd save this, is we're going to create a group page for that Easter breakfast for the youth group. So I'll close out of this, and that may seem a little weird right now. I'll talk about it as we go. So if you go to Pages and New Page and click Group Page and click Create Page, I'm going to say Easter Breakfast 2018. So a group is essentially a site within a site where members can log in and participate. You can have different levels of permission. You can have content all within that group. The individual pages are not accessible except through the group for linking and other purposes, but it puts it all in one easy to use place. And that's what we're going to go to next. So Easter Breakfast 2018. Now you might use this for like church boards or Bible studies or other things like that. There's 1,000 different uses for groups, including Easter breakfast. Now, when you go here, it looks very similar to a page at the draft status, except you have a sub-navigation here. Easter Breakfast 2018 is the name, discussion, events, members, edit this group, membership settings. We'll look at all of that. First and foremost, though, I want to edit the page and add a banner. And this one, I should have a youth group breakfast banner if I save that one right. Let's try this. There we go, and I can always go back in and do this good practice to do 100% and height. There we go. All right, so we'll leave that as is. And then I could put in all of this other stuff that we had in before. I'm just going to put that in there as filler information for right now, just so that we have a little bit of a home page. You still have all of your layouts and settings that you do like on a normal page. It just happens to be the home page of a group. So let's say you wanted to take this group a step farther and add more pages to it. Let's say you want to say, well, what is Easter? You know, a lot of people will be coming for the free breakfast, but they don't know about Easter. Well, let's create a what is Easter page. So I'm going to go down to edit this group. And see here, I can put descriptions and other things. We'll go ahead and put a quick description of the group. That'll help when we get back to the landing page. And then you can add pages. I'm going to put, what is Easter? In the church, we all know what it is, but you might be getting community members who've never been to an Easter service and don't really understand what it is besides bunnies and eggs. So this is a great chance to share what is Easter. I'm going to go ahead and click Update Group before we get into permissions. All right, so this takes me back to the home page. I'll go to Edit this group. Ooh, pardon me. Edit this group. There we've got our home page, discussion, events. We'll look at each of those. What is Easter and members pages. And all of them right now have the same permission settings. It says group details are visible to only Unite users. Well, let's break this down a little bit. All right, the home page has relevant information. That's going to be available for everybody. The discussion doesn't matter for the public, certainly. It really doesn't matter for Unite users. It matters for group members. Events, same thing. We need to be able to see what events are associated. Maybe there's prep work. Maybe there's cleaning the kitchen afterwards. You want to add those events to the calendar. What is Easter? We're going to make that one be public. And then the members group, we can make that one be only group members as well, so that it really limits who sees what. Lastly, I have who can join this group. Anyone who's logged in or only people I've invited. This allows you to really narrow down the list of people and say, okay, I'd want to make this exclusive. So if I don't know the people who want to be in the group, I can talk to them offline and involve them, but I'm not going to let just anybody join, because then they have access to the discussion and the events in the members directory. So adds another layer of permission. All right, we'll update that. And then, oops, I'm going to go back to edit this group because I forgot one thing. You'll see what is Easter is not showing up in the menu. It's because I didn't check the box. As soon as I check the box, it shows up there. And if I wanted to turn discussion or events off, I could just by clicking that, and they'll be removed. But I don't need to do that right now. All right, this is better. What is Easter? Blank page. I can go to edit page. And I could start typing things, but a great way to communicate is through video. And so I'm going to pull up a video here and hope that the volume isn't too loud. It shouldn't come across. This is a video we at CPH put together several years ago. And I'm going to click share. And I'm going to click embed, which will give me code to copy. And I'll close out of that. And I'll close out of that. And I go in here. So when you have code to copy, even if you don't know what it means, you can always go here to this little Unite symbol, embed media, paste, and click OK. And now I have embedded a video into my group page. So I'll click save, edit page, and voila, we've got a video on our page. So that works out really well. That's a nice kind of subsection of the Easter breakfast page that people can point to. Let's dig into a few other things. The discussion board. I don't know if that's coming across for you as well, but I can hear the rain coming down outside. It's a dreary day here in St. Louis. The discussion board shows where people can leave messages. And so for planning events like Easter breakfast, you could do all of this over email and have a number of email chains going out. But I would recommend just going into your group and putting it all here. What's nice is that when somebody changes something, so let's see, we'll do that as an announcement and say, prep time has moved up to 5:45 a.m. This is one of the reasons why I didn't do a lot of Easter breakfasts, because they're always bright and early. If I go ahead and post that, then anybody else who's a member, which right now is no one, but anybody else could see that. If I go to membership settings, this is me as a user, not the group. My settings for this group say, send me an email when a member of my group posts a comment. I'm going to say only when the leader makes announcements, and click update group membership. And that allows me to stay informed of those important announcements. Now you may be saying, okay, that's great. How do we get people involved in that discussion? Well, you would see them under members, but right now it's just me. So let me show you how to add members. So if I go to users, you'll see there are exactly 2 users within this church. There's Peter Frank, myself, and Material Theme, which is the name of the site. And right now I'm currently logged in as Material Theme. So what I want to do is add more people. And this, again, is to the site, not the group. We'll get there in just a second. So if I click Add People, it gives me the requirements, which are first name, last name, and email. Now, I could type all of this in pretty easily, but I can also download a CSV template. Let's see, it's slowly opening. It's a very small template, so I don't know why it takes so long to open. And my, where did that go? It's over on this one. All right, so basically first name, last name, email. Now, thankfully, on my desktop, let me pull this up here. I have this list of users to import. So I'm going to bring them in. Oops. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this and cancel this. I'm going to go to add people and import from CSV. And here's my users to import. So it pre-populates all the fields for me. And then I can go ahead and add all of these people. And it'll take just a quick second. Maybe more than a second. I've got a pretty lengthy list here, so sometimes that can go a little long. I should have started with a shorter list for demonstration purposes. So what's nice about this is that you can get lists like this out of any real database software where your people are managed. But you could also type this in fairly easily. It's not going to be fun, but you can do it, or have an office volunteer do it. All right, well, while that is working, I'm not sure why that's taken so long today. May have to do with the fact that I'm live and connected to a webinar app. It could also just be that I have too many people going in at once and it just takes a while to process. While we wait for that, I'm going to go back to my group. So pages, Easter breakfast group, go down to members, add members. And see, I can add people here. So I can add me as a member, just put me right in there, or I can invite me, which would send an email that says, would you like to join? If I just click add member, I will automatically be joined, and then I can click on myself or any number of people and say email selected. And that's going to open up what we call email relay email. This is part of my own email client. So I use Outlook here at CPH. It creates a quick link to here. Now, right now, there's just one email address, so there's only one person. So I'm going to click no. If I email both of us, email selected. I could also click email all. It gives me what's called a grid, and I'm going to select this and paste this here and show you what it looks like. 2 undisclosed recipients with a bunch of characters, and then .material@relay.360unite.com. So all of those things say these are the 2 email addresses you need to go to, and that could be 100 email addresses. You have no limit to how many you can put in there. Where with regular email clients, you do have a limit. Also, this uses your default one, so it's the one you're most comfortable with. All right, let's check on my update. There we go. They've all been added. That just took longer than I expected. Sorry about that. They've all been added and selected. Now I can go ahead and change their role to member. And again, that's me changing it. I don't want everybody having access to just log into Unite because there's sensitive information there. And so this allows you to let lots of people do it, and then you can quickly change their role to user, which allows them to log in. So I'll click update. Also, just so you know, you don't have to give people a user login to add them in here. You could just create them in the system and say, I want them in here, but I know they're not going to participate. So some people who are not tech savvy may need to be in there for different reasons. All right, so now that I have people there, they've been invited, I can go back to my post. Oops. Something's off. Huh, my mouse wasn't clicking. I've had that before on during webinars where all of a sudden it stops working. Well, where it'll just keep moving forward. So we talked about members. Let me show you pages. Where is members? Oh, there it is, visit. So if you go to visit and members, this is our church directory. And it shows all of the individual people. They can log in, they can update their phone numbers, update their email address. Ooh. Pardon me. This is what happens when I have these right after lunch. If I click on an individual member, not only can I see their contact information and what household they're part of. In this case, there's no household. That's only available with church management software. I can also see their group involvement. All right, so let me go to pages. Yeah, I'm already running out of time. All right. Oh, and I didn't do the events yet. Let me, we'll go quickly. So there's no questions in the queue, so I'm going to keep moving forward. Actually, I'm going to back up here and go back to this group because this is where I'm going to want to create the events. So if I go to events, sorry for skipping down on that. I thought I had my calendar outline, or my outline done correctly, and I missed a step. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is events. So events, April 1st, Easter breakfast, and at our church, 7 to 9:30. 7 a.m. to 9:30. Oops, 30 a.m. And I'm not going to say this is an all-day repeat. I'm not all-day event. I'm not even going to say that it repeats, because even though we'll do it again next year, the rhyme or reason for Easter's calendar is not built into Unite. And then I can also invite people to the event. So anybody who's a member of my group, I can invite to join. And then I can choose reminders. So I want 1 day before and 1 hour before. I want reminders to go out to my team and say, hey, don't forget to be here for the Easter breakfast. So we'll create that event. Now you can also create events from the calendar view. So here is, somewhere is the calendar. I looked right past it. News calendar, pardon me. All right, so then when I go here to April, that shows up. Now that shows up under the Easter breakfast calendar, or Easter breakfast 2018 calendar. Here are a list of calendars. Easter breakfast 2018 and the book of Romans Bible study. Those are our groups. That's because we haven't set any other calendars up. If we go to settings and calendars, and all of these are locked right now. So we're going to change worship to everyone, and we're going to change fellowship to be everyone, and education to everyone. Let me actually do. All right, so now when I go back, actually and close this, news calendar, refresh that, and I have more calendars to choose from. Now I can also change the colors and do a number of other things. I'm not going to do that, but I will add events. And so as I continue down, April 1st, 8 a.m. to, oops, 9, oops, I need to get the 8 a.m. in here. There you go, sanctuary is where Easter worship begins. All right, so Easter worship, and I'll add it to the calendar worship. There we go. I can add the description in there, but I also want to show this other thing. So there's worship. I could tie it to my Easter breakfast 2018 calendar. Probably not going to do that. But if I wanted to do like a communion calendar, have something different, I could do that there too. We'll just, for purposes of demonstration, add it to the fellowship calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and create that, Easter Worship Sanctuary. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my calendar, and that'll show up there. So Easter breakfast, Easter worship, and my calendars, if I unselect some of them, it will disappear. But then when I click worship, it shows up, or if I just had fellowship, it'll show up as well. Let's click on worship, because the next thing we're going to do, go to that calendar event, copy that URL up at the top here, go back to my Easter 2018 page, go to edit here, go to my, oops, yeah, there we go. I know what happened. I meant to do that, where I'd have that under the bullet point. And then I can highlight the 8 o'clock and go to link here. And link to any URL, material. And target would tell me, sorry, material is my subdomain here. Material, and there's my URL. The target, new window, topmost window, same window. I always like to do that as like window blank, which is a new window. So I'll click OK. And then here is where I might want to go and change my style to, again, be bold and underline. Have links look a little bit different. So I'll save that. Click edit page, close out of there. And now you'll see what it looks like. And so if somebody who's going here clicks on that, they'll be taken to the Easter worship page. Now I'm logged in, so it still shows everything else, but other people won't see that. All right, so the next two things, I don't have any questions in the queue, so I'm going to keep going even though I reached my 50-minute mark. The next two things are pretty simple. The first one is building a blog. I say that, pretty simple, building a blog. Well, blogs are simple to create. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new, actually, I do already have a blog here. If I clicked add page blog or feed page, which is another name for blog, we call it feed because blog makes it sound like you're writing blog posts, which you are, but they're not like narratives or anything like that. It could be just announcements. And that's what I have here, news and announcements. And it has this little icon in here that shows it's a blog. If I click news and announcements, I can go in here and click edit page. And we'll just do the same copy that we've done before. And I can add a, add all of that in here. And I can schedule this to go at a different time. So while my landing page may be where I link people to, my blog page would be where I'd announce the weekly services. And so you might want to mix up the content a little bit, but they're two different means of communicating. Because my landing page, I can link to that on social media. I can, put that on a handout, mychurch.com/Easter, and everybody can go to that. Whereas this is for the people who follow your feed, who subscribe and see that in their RSS reader, their blog reader. So there's a number of things we can do here. We'll go ahead and schedule it to 3 o'clock and create. But you can see how everything else is pretty much the same. And there's my little timer. So I can link to things within here too. So a blog is important for your regular news and announcements where people are periodically attending or viewing for information's sake. Your landing page would be where you might send visitors to. So if we go to edit page on this home page and go double click on this image, and I'm going to upload, actually I can hit cancel. I'll show you some of the assets uploaded on other pages. 3 more. There is my Easter Sunday one. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to change this to be 100% and nothing. Get that down to the right size. And then I'm going to click on this image and click link. And a pager feed within my site, Easter 2018. Click OK, save, and close that. All right, so now this is my homepage. So it fits my theme. Easter Sunday, join us for worship. You click here, you get all the details and find out when worship time is. You could say Easter breakfast, learn more. Let's change up that learn more a little bit. I'm going to click edit page. When I erase learn more, I'm going to do this what's called a group widget. And we'll do, here's Easter breakfast 2018. We'll do the large widget just to show the capabilities. So you could actually replace this whole thing with Easter breakfast 2018 and it'll show the leaders of the group. That might be a little weird for a page like this. If we just go to medium, it'll change it. And it puts the description of the group in there and creates a quick link to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. Close that out here. There we go. So Easter breakfast, which would take me to my Easter breakfast page. And this would have more details. You might want to put a picture of breakfast on there, something like that to help people out. But it's all linked together. And the last thing, I know I'm running out of time. I do apologize. But the last thing I had promised here, whoops, we'll go to that. So we create a landing page, create a resource hub, invite users, set up events, engage site visitors. That's adding a banner on there, making it accessible and all linked in together, create a blog. Email the congregation is the last one. I just need to double check that I didn't forget anything else. I didn't forget this, I just kind of shortchanged this one. You can, from this view, under users, go to mailing lists, and you have an everyone mailing list, all of your users that you can go and click email, and it'll create a new email. From here, you can build out your email using images and other things. But if you wanted to do a subset, maybe not everybody, you can create a new one, and you could say my Easter 2018 mailing list. And maybe you have another one that's just like outreach news. We'll go ahead and refresh this so that they get added to the options. So if I go to my Easter mailing list, I can go in and add people. I can select them by name. I can select them by group, Easter breakfast 2018, or I could select them by other email lists like outreach news and create this email list. And all I have to do is click the checkbox and do email, and it will pull up my email client again with a unique address. Now, I kind of skipped over this quickly before. The unique address on there allows that email to go to our servers, and then we redistribute it, relay it to each individual email address. So that's why we call it email relay. It allows you to mass email based on the data in your system, and not worry about hitting any kind of limits in terms of number of emails sent out from your service, which most email providers have. This is how all of the main email services provide options for you. This just happens to be included with Unite. All right, I covered a lot of information there. I'm kind of surprised there's no questions, but that's okay because we only have a couple minutes left. Let me show you a few things. So first off, if you haven't started using Unite, you can do that at 360unite.com and get your free trial. Hopefully you've seen how easy it is to set up your website. You could set up your website during those free 30 days or do as much of it as you want to see if it's a good fit for you. Now, if you are not a customer and you'd like to purchase, I would recommend doing so before the end of the month. It's the end of our 2 months promotion where you save $199. We waive the startup fee during this promotion, which we waive the fee, but you still get the benefits of the initial startup process, working with our onboarding specialists to get your website up and going, training you and your team on how to use Unite. So it's a great value for $199. We waive that during this time. But here's my contact information. And I'll put that up on the screen while I give you a chance to write any questions that you have. My email is the best way to get a hold of me. You can reach our software consultants. That's our sales team who works with you to determine if Unite is a good fit. If you are already a customer, then I'm sure you already have our support team's contact information. They are great to work with. Otherwise, you're welcome to ask me any questions as well. If there's things you'd like to do that you're not sure how, and maybe you just want to float some ideas past me, please just reach out. So hopefully, everything made sense. I know I flew through that a lot. I will tell you, you can go back to the site for what's publicly available and go to, let me go ahead and publish this actually. That's the one thing I didn't do, was publish my homepage for the Easter breakfast. So we'll go ahead and save that. You can go to material.360unite.com and see this example. I'll probably change back some of the details later on because Easter Sunday is only valid for so long, but that'll give you a chance to see what I did, see it in action. You can click around on it and just experience that. So some of them may require a sign-in because, again, that's how that works, where you set up certain views to be just for members only. All right, well, we're right at 2 o'clock, so I'm going to put that up one more time, and thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.